All right, so we are live. Mom, it's 4:55. We're online. We're just waiting for you to get your Bible so we can start the Bible study. So while we're waiting for Mom to go get her Bible study, just want to tell you a bit about Beit Tefillah Messianic Fellowship. I am the Rabbi Adam J. Burnett. We are. This is actually in a home. On Clinton, in between Van Ness and Palm, here in beautiful and right now very hot California, Fresno, California. Yes, so we'd love to have you sometime, some week. We have our services every Saturday for Sabbath services at 4:30 p.m. Then, very excited. Then we're also going to be have in the in beyond the first great stuff going on. I'll have more things about them for our autumn festivals. You notice I did not say fall festivals. Fall, bad word here in this family. No. So we hope you'll be here. We do have, of course, which is Rosh Hashanah, which is the head of the year, also known as Yom Teruah, which means, which is called, some places usually call it as the day of shofar or the day of trumpets, but literally, what the Teruah, Yom Teruah, Teruah means blast or shout of war. I thought that was interesting when I learned that. But yeah, and of course, that's coming. Why don't I have that? Find that since I'm talking about it right now. All right, so. Oh wait, I have a calendar. Calendar. There, I have a calendar. Don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Sometimes. Where's my kepi? All right. All right. Yes. That's right. Of course, as I was saying that Rosh Hashanah or Yom Teruah is on September 25th, and we will have our service at most. Our evening services are also always at 6:13 p.m. Why 6:13 p.m.? Because of the 613 commandments in the traditional commandments in the Torah. So 613 commandments, 6:13 p.m. Now, then coming up, the next big event after that is, of course, is Yom Teruah. That's right, Yom Teruah. We will begin on It's on Tuesday, October 4th. Of course, as I said, stopping at 6:13 p.m. And we also will have at 5 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday, 12th, to end the service, to end the to have the service ending Yom Kippur. So that will be then on Wednesday the 5th, and as I said, at 5 o'clock. I know I said 6:13. Everything ends. We don't want to go too late with that if we just start at 6:13. So 5 o'clock. And then, of course, it is Erev Sukkot, the evening of the Feast of Tabernacles. That's coming up on Sunday, October 9th. And that is also where? What time? 6:13 p.m. And we will be celebrating the celebration of Yeshua's birth. And that's very important. We're going to do a very exciting plan for Sukkot, especially that first night, or at least starting at that, for the excitement of the birth of Messiah. So we hope to see you there. Yeah, right. All right. So, and we're about to begin. We're going to start with some music. The reason we're reading, it says this weekend we're walking. We're the Parasha is about the judges, not the judges that ran Israel. That story, not the actual the book of Judges, but it's about the establishment of having judges in Israel. And of course, a traditional, you have at least 3 judges. And of course, we also have 3 people in our songs. We're listening about the wonderful messianic music group, and that's of course Israel's Hope. And we will begin with "Oh, Give Thanks." I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got a little confused. No, we're going to say to the daughter of Zion. Wait, hold on. Wait, wrong. Here we go. Okay, we're gonna have some music shortly. Behold, salvation comes, and His reward is with Him. Behold, Yeshua comes. See the daughter of Zion, behold, salvation comes, and His reward is with Him. Behold, Yeshua comes. See the daughter of Zion, behold, salvation comes, and His reward is with Him. Behold, Yeshua comes. Righteousness, truth, be quiet, shall sing your glory. Do 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 do. You will see our glory, glory, hands of God on the God will be voice over you. Speak to the daughter of Zion. Behold, salvation come. The Lord is within. Behold, Yeshua come. To the daughter of Zion. Behold, salvation come. And this is within. Yeshua come. Behold, Yeshua come. Behold, Yeshua come. All right. And our next song, looking for, hold on, trying to find, here we go. And we are going to Here Now. Oh, where'd they go? Oi, 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 oi. Oi, 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 oi. And 24. Oi, having a problem here. Clear. This is not this. I had this song ready. Oh, golly. Hold on. This is. Hold on. I just. Oh gosh. Hold on. I'm trying to find. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Just, Oh man. I'm gonna have to get some more information about this and get the right one. Is it just? Here we go. Here Now. Oh, wait, that's not what I'm looking for. We'll get to this commercial. It's for lemon water. Big deal. Let's get some music. Hear now, Jacob, my servant. Hear now, O Israel. Once I who made you, born you in the womb. O Jerusalem, raise you from your tomb. Hear now. Hear now. Hear now. Israel, pour out my spirit upon your dry ground. I'm the Lord, the Holy One, the Messiah, your King. And now, Jacob, my servant, hear now, O Israel. Hear now, Jacob, my servant, hear now, O Israel. O Israel, O Israel. And finally, as I mentioned before, this will be say to the daughter of Zion. To the daughter of Zion, hold your son comes, and to the Lord is within. Behold, Yeshua comes. Say to the daughter of Zion, salvation comes, and to the Lord within thee. Behold, Yeshua comes. To the daughter of Zion, old salvation come, and to the Lord within thee. Behold, Yeshua comes. And say, and patience be your righteousness. Solemn, be quiet, see your glory. Do 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 do. We will see all of glory, Lord, and of God, all good. We call you barren, rejoice over you. Say to God, yeah, your salvation come, and Lord, you can be what you would come. Say to the daughter of Zion, don't salvation come. Lord is different. Old Yeshua come. Old Yeshua come. Behold, Yeshua come. Some wonderful music to start our reading. I got a little bit of water there. All right. Yep. Yeah. Always. Israel's Hope's music was always great. Good. Always has to live. All right. All right. Let's begin the blessings before the Torah study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvot tov v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Amen. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctifies us with thy commandments and commanded us to attend ourselves in the words of the Torah. All right. And our readings we're going to begin. There is. There it is. All right. We are beginning in Deuteronomy, starting in chapter 16, verse 18. All right. Let me guess. I'll get there. Hold on. I'm not. So, hold on. All right. So, let me just. Let me see. Deuteronomy. Should it start in 16, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I got the real quick.
16, verse 18.
Yeah. It's just the way I can just type in the 16 and it starts where to, and I can scroll down to exactly where we're going to. All right. And I've said this is Parasha Shoftim, or Judges. And I'll begin. You are to appoint judges and officers from all your gates in the cities. Adonai, your God, is giving you tribe by tribe, and they are to judge the people with righteous judgment. You are not to distort justice or show favoritism, and you are not to accept a bribe, for a gift blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of even the upright. Justice, only justice, you must pursue, so that you will live and inherit the land Adonai, your God, is giving you. All right, let's talk about that for a bit. First off, that says justice, only justice you must pursue. There's a little thing about there that is not actually in the actual Hebrew reading. It's very interesting. Mom, what do you have in verse 20?
Verse 20. Follow justice.
Okay.
And justice alone.
Okay. You add even more statements, because it's only 2 words in Hebrew that it says. The word for justice. It just says justice, justice. And then you say you must pursue. The reason is it is about an emphasis. You said, I think you said you must pursue, I think it says in you.
That you may live and possess the land.
Yeah, but before that it says, you say again, just that little bit.
Follow justice and justice alone.
See, follow and only. It's an emphasis of it. In the Hebrew thought, when you say a word again, it is to emphasize, to make that. It's like having bolding or italics or something else, something that it's to see it. It's like saying, pay attention. Excuse me. Now, let's continue. Also, you are not to distort justice, show favoritism, and you are not to bribe. You're not to accept a bribe. And this is interesting, and twists that. What is it saying? And twists the words of even the upright. Now, there's two things that there's a story. It's in the Talmud, and a man a wealthy man was, he knew that there was a big court case coming up, and he wasn't sure what happened, but he wanted to make sure. Of course, you want to say he wanted to win his case. I mean, that's kind of a thing. And he goes up into the courtroom, and who is an old friend, who he is a close friend of him, and that's the judge. And he says, oh my good friend, it's so good to see you. It's been a long time. Oh, how remember of the times we've been together. Remember that you have spent time in my home for festivals or whatever it was. Just slathering it up about wonderful this time, just to talk and how wonderful it is. And he goes, I thought I remembered that was your name as the to be on the of the case. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going to have this case assigned to a different judge. And he said, well, why? I mean, of course, you're a great judge. Why? What's wrong with it? You have made you have made a specific thing to make a point of saying how wonderful about the times we've had together. That means that I may be thought to favor your side. And that's not allowed. I cannot do it. Who's gonna know? God knows, and I knows, and he refused to take the case. It didn't matter that he was completely alone. Of course, they didn't have recordings at that time. They were just waiting, and theoretically, he could have, told them, and just decided. He could have thought, well, I'm a good judge, and I could look the merits of the case, faithfully, and he's never asked me to do anything. Was it? That's a gift that blinds the eyes. Moving on in verse 21. You are not to plant any sort of tree as a sacred pole beside the altar of Adonai, your God, that you will make for yourselves. Okay. I don't want to slam Christians. But this goes on, and I see people in churches, especially in December. And what do? They put a Christmas tree on the stage. What is the stage? The stage is the altar. They even refer to it. It's out. It's right there. It's the bima, is the Hebrew term. But let's talk about not December. Let's say it's September, and let's see. And so, and I'm sorry. Let me just say, so of course, we're talking about the sacred pole, the oh gosh, the Asherah. So it's a tree, but it's not. It's September. It's not no Christmas tree. You come in, and you walk in, and it's there's a potted plant on the is on the bima, is on the stage. Or let's say you go on Easter Sunday and you walk in, and what do you see? You see, Mom, what? Lilies, beautiful lilies, and they are. Let's just say they're beautiful. Same thing with the poinsettias on Christmas time. They're wonderful. I'm not saying you can't have them. The problem is putting them on the altar, on the bima, is a complete violation. Okay? I mean, Christmas, look, there are a lot of reasons why a believer could keep a celebrate of Jesus in December. His conception would have happened to happen when late December. It could even be December 24th. 24th, 25th, of course, remember the Hebrew date starts at night. There's no problem to celebrate that. The problem is the Asherah or something like it, that Christmas tree, is what? It's a violation of doing anything like it. To be careful with these things. Moving on, verse 22. Likewise, do not set up a standing stone. Adonai, your God, hates such things. So what's a standing stone? A standing stone, it's like a memorial thing that reminds you it's like, remember, we're talking about what? Things like an altar. For example, if you were going to put up a stone like in front of your service, now it's getting a little too close. I mean, it may have, for example, it might have a plaque about the congregation. It's like, let's say, it's it's because the rock, the rock is a very important thing. The cornerstone of Yeshua. But when you're doing it as a standing stone right there in the beginning, it's getting close. You have to be careful about those things. moving on in Deuteronomy 17. Yes. Moving on. You are not to sacrifice to Adonai your God a cow or sheep that has a defect or anything wrong with it. That would be an abomination to Adonai your God. So why? Why is that wrong? Why is that bad? And why does that matter? We don't have there's no a temple right now. Does it matter anymore? Maybe not literally today, but someday we're going to be in the New Jerusalem. And also, let's beyond the literal. Anything that you bring for God, whether it is a sacrifice, well, not a sacrifice, of course, but anything. Let's say you bring real simply like a dish for potluck, for a church potluck, as an example. You make it the best thing you can do, even if it's a very simple, I don't know, bean dip. Make it the best bean dish that you can. Why? Because it is for the honor of God. Now, again, that's a metaphorical situation. It's not a literal thing like an offering at the temple. But it's a good thing about practicing things like that. Everything for God, we should be doing it the best we can. We'll continue in verse 2. If there is found among you within any of your gates in any city that Adonai your God gives you, a man or woman who does what Adonai gives as wicked, trespassing his covenant by going and serving other gods and worshiping them, the sun, the moon, or anything in the sky, something I have forbidden, and if it is told to you or you hear about it, then you are to investigate the matter diligently. If it is true, if it is confirmed that such detestable things are being done in Israel, then you are to bring the man or woman who has done this wicked thing to your city gates and stone that man or woman to death. Whew. Wow. Yet again, this is, again, something that we cannot do because we're not in Israel. There is no temple, and we violate for us to try to do this now would be violating the laws of the land that we live in. So of course, then that means no, we don't have to pay, just pay any attention to it, right? It means nothing. No, of course not. Everything in the Bible means something to us. Mom, what do you suggest might think this might be something that we can bring about to us today?
When the rabbi or his rebbetzin or whoever makes a request that you bring some goodies for the owning Shabbat,
okay,
he needs to say, bring the very best that you can, even if, as you suggested, it's being there.
Okay, that's not where we're going. I'm talking about, this is about the, let's say, it is talking about people, it says people who do wickedness things. We're done beyond that. We're talking about if you find people who violate the commandments around.
Okay.
Okay.
They need to be told what is wicked and what is not.
Okay.
Make it very clear to them. And then there's no question that if they violate it, they have violated God's word.
Well, but we're talking about not a member of the congregation. It's people around, out the world. What is it?
He's not a member of the congregation. You have nothing to do with him.
Well, yes and no.
Unless he's broken a law of your state or your country.
Well, how do I put this? There are things you can teach people about that. At least I can. I'm taught for that. I think
your congregation.
Yeah, well, it's part of evangelism. Okay. You can theoretically, but you have to be very, very careful about those things. But very important, but most important to say about this. The death sentence. Remember, this is a death sentence issue. Yes, violating basically the big commandment. We're talking about violating the Sabbath or having sex with an animal, something like that we're talking about. This would be a death sentence issue but we're not. We're not. But forget the animal situation. That was a little far. But homosexuals out there, people, or what they call transsexuals or whatever, all those things, they have terms. They're finding new different things every day. You still don't act like you're stoning them. Even if you're not, you can't you're not supposed to. We still have to love them. See, that's the power of Yeshua. You must show them love, because if you don't, they'll never think about Yeshua. Now, you can be absolutely sure if there's a discussion about it, you can say, look, the commandments are the commandments. Just because you're asking me, I'm telling you. Yes, the commandments, and if you violate, you're violating it. And I would love to tell you about why you should, and would help you not to start being involved with that, to change your life if you want to. But that's your decision. Yeah. All right, we're continuing in verse 6. The death sentence. Wait, yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. To verse. Let me see. Sorry. Verse 4. And if it is told to you, or you hear about it, then you are to investigate the matter diligently. If it is true, if it is confirmed that such detestable things are being done in Israel, very specific, it says, in Israel, then you are to bring the man or woman who has done this wicked thing to your city gates and stone that man or woman to death. Now, the question about that is, let's say we were in Israel. In fact, I'm not even the Israel we're talking about today, but on Israel governed by Yeshua. Let's say that you just happen to walk into a room where improper sex is going on, no matter who it is. Okay. What you should do about that? You think you should, or at least, let me ask you, should you stone them or get people involved? Is that what you should do?
I don't think so.
You're right. Let's be real specific. Let's read it in verse 6. The death sentence is to be carried out only if there was testimony from 2 or 3 witnesses. He may not be sentenced to death on the testimony of only 1 witness. You know, I'm a conservative, I admit, about many things. And I support your local sheriff, as the saying goes. I'm concerned, though, about court cases that, one person, he's guilty. They don't even have 1 witness in a lot of cases. None. Oh, it's supposed DNA testimony. It can be faked. It can. At that point, in my opinion, that means like you cannot kill them for that. No way. Now, there are other ways you could take care of it. I mean, because the places that we live, of course, they have prison, and they had prison in some places in ancient Israel. It was at a certain point they had them. There are ways they took care of it, or my favorite is to force them to work to pay for their victim's family. That's one of my favorites. But you can't. This has to be. And very important thing, most important thing you need to do, the most big for us, is that we as believers, if we get involved with a case as a juror, you need to understand that no matter what they say here in this system, God says there must be at least 2 or 3 witnesses. And you know what? I suggest people to telling people, be honest about it when they're doing through, what's the term? When they're picking the jury. Whatever it's called. Tell them you're honest about it. Go ahead. Be complete honest about your belief. It probably will get you off jury duty.
Well, if someone is committing this kind of act, where it could possibly be seen by somebody else, then they are being judged not because of the act, but because of stupidity.
Maybe. All right. Verse 7. The witnesses are to be the first to stone him to death. Afterwards, all the people are to stone him. Thus you will put an end to this wickedness among you. That's another part of it. Let's be honest, sometimes when they are making testimony, sometimes people lie. Oh yes, Jim is absolutely guilty. I'm telling you, I saw him do it. And they'll tell you a lot of times, the police will tell you, eyewitness testimony is actually pretty bad. You don't know it's the right person. So it's, and this is one thing. I wonder if people knew that they were going to have to maybe not hurl a stone, but push the button to end the life. I wonder if they'd be willing to say that they're really sure this person is definitely the guilty person. Just a thought. Continuing on in verse 8. If a case comes before you at your city gate, which is too difficult for you to judge, concerning bloodshed, civil suit, personal injury, or any other controversial issue, you are to get up and go to the place which Adonai your God will choose. Okay, what they're talking when they say that moved a couple of times in ancient Israel. It started when talking about when we even settled, and it's not when they were running around fighting the Amalekites and all those things. When they were ready to just live, first it was Hebron. Trying to think, there was one other place. Trying to remember, but eventually it was in Jerusalem. And this is not abnormal when starting up a new country. In the United States, it was originally Philadelphia, New York. It may have been one or two other places, but eventually it was D.C., Washington, D.C. So there's a lot of similarities about the United States in the history of Israel, ancient Israel. All right. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. Verse 9. And appear before the Kohanim who are Leviim. Two things. And the judge in office at the time. The idea was you wanted the judge, the head judge, wanted to be the most experienced judge. Man, I wish that was something like that today. I've seen some pretty boneheaded judges in the United States, let's be honest. Seek their opinion, and they will render a verdict for you. You will then act according to what they have told you there in that place which Adonai will choose. You are to take care to act according to all their instructions, in accordance with the Torah they teach you. You are to carry out the judgment they render, not turning aside to the right or the left from the verdict they declare to you. Yeah, it wasn't, anarchy. Definitely not anarchy. And not libertarianism either, to be perfectly honest. There was real law. I mean, seriously. Continuing on in verse 12. Anyone presumptuous enough not to pay attention to the Kohen appointed there to serve Adonai your God, or to the judge, that person must die. Thus you will exterminate such wickedness from Israel. All the people will hear about it and be afraid to continue acting presumptuously. Whew! That's tough. That's a strong message. All right, Mom. Will you please read, starting in, we're on chapter, I assume, 17. 17, starting in verse 14. And I'll let you know shortly. When we get there, I'll let you know what we end. But you're starting in verse 14. I'll tell you in a bit.
When you enter the land the Lord your giving is you, and have taken possession of it and settled in it, and you say, let us set a king over us like all the other nations around us. Be sure to appoint over you the king the Lord your God chooses. He must be from among your own brothers. Do not place a foreigner over you, one who is not a brother Israelite. The king, moreover, must not acquire great numbers of horses for himself.
Hold on real quick. I want to just make a comment about the two items in the middle of one thing. You were separate issues. One, no foreigners. You have to be someone who is on, and that's something that's in the Constitution of the United States also. And that was a very, there was a lot of people who were concerned about Obama, President Obama, that there was a claim that he was from somewhere else. He wasn't, but, people still claim it. And there is different people like, he's a senator from Texas. Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, his family was living in Canada at the time. He was born in the United States. And people have said something about it, or is it that he was living in? I don't remember. It's questionable of him, because when they were talking about him running for president, these are important reasons, and the reason is, of course, the assumption is that someone from the United States or from Israel or whatever it is going to function as the country was designed for. Specifically, in the case we're talking in the Bible, we're talking about keeping the commandments. All right, Mom, you can continue.
What?
Yes, going on. Oh, let me see if there was yeah. They were talking about the question almost before we go. I'm sorry. We're talking about horses. Why is it to deal with horses? Why do it have to be horses? The idea is that's a very expensive item. But getting new horses, getting them here, that's a lot expensive, both with acquiring them and keeping them alive to get here in a good, to get. And so they're asking specifically about going where? To Egypt. They're talking about going back to Egypt and following about their ways. That's the specific idea they're talking about. And that's what that's talking about. Okay, Mom, you can continue with, and similarly in 17, they were talking about, did you read 17? In verse 17?
Verse 17, verse 16, verse 17. He must not take too many wives. He must not take many wives.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, the wise, the most wise king of Israel, Solomon, violated that one. The idea is, and this is the same wisdom that why in it's in the apostolic writings. So Paul's teachings about getting I think it's elders. Is it? I think it's either no, it's not. Is it elders or is it? It has to go beyond the congregation level. It's I think it's as a bishop that you had to only a one wife. The point is that it's a big deal for having one wife to keep them happy, to follow it, to take care of the family, etc. When it becomes to multiple wives, multiple, you're playing with fire, really. Yeah. So that, yeah. And then it is, and so this, and if you read it, it ends this, so that his heart will not turn away, and he is not to acquire exceeding quantities of silver and gold. In other words, they're saying, of course, well, the women need jewelry, they need gifts, the kids need shoes, the joy, and then you get what? Then that's, I mean, it's like the British monarchy, the royalty, the royal family. It's very expensive to give them the clothing and the food and the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they do what? I mean, let's be honest. That's why it's the talking about. If you had all that money and stuff, that's the only reason why Solomon was even willing to, because he had a huge amount of wealth already. But even that, it's really was not as good, So, Mom, please continue with verse 18. We're still in chapter 17, 18. Deuteronomy 17, 18. Mom?
What?
Are you there? Mm-hmm. Yes, we're continuing on reading Deuteronomy 17, starting in verse 18.
When he takes the throne of his kingdom, he is to write for himself on a scroll a copy of this law, taken from that of the priests who are Levites. It is to be with him, and he is to read it all the days of his life, so that he may return to revere the Lord. He may learn to revere the Lord, his God, and follow carefully all the words of this law and these decrees, and not to consider himself better than any of his brothers, and turn from the law to the right or to the left. Then he and his descendants will reign a long time over his kingdom in Israel.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I really like that. It's one of my favorites of these commandments. The idea is why? Why do you rewrite it? Why do you need that? I mean, couldn't I just buy a new copy? Have it. There is a psychological process going on with writing it and reading it correctly. I mean, it's not like, oh well, I'll just write it sloppily. No, to write it properly requires being. And Hebrew is difficult to write. I mean, if you're doing script, not script, but writing it in the way it was done, you had to be very careful because one little mark would change the meanings of things. And you had to learn it. I question sometimes about some of the presidents of the United States, if they've even read the Constitution, let alone written it down. And of course, there's all the laws. It's all those things. There are problems with that system of the United States. All right, I will start reading in chapter 18:1. The Kohanim, who are Leviim, and indeed the whole tribe of Levi, is not to have a share or inheritance with Israel. I wonder if there's ever been a person who was from the tribe of Levi who would think, feel like they are just, what am I going to say? What's the word I'm going to say? I want to use a term that anyone would buy, that they would feel cheated eventually just living in that, becoming a tribe of Levi. I have to do this. I have to do this work. I don't want to be in becoming even a Levi. I want to do some things. I want to be a writer. I want to be like athletes. I want to be in the arts. No. I wonder about that. And they have nothing. So there's nothing coming in there. It's just whatever food comes in. That's great. I got a whole big of oats. What I really want is a DVD player. I can see it being a problem. But it's a total different society also, but I'm sure the issues go on still anyway. Continuing on, instead, their support will come from the food offered by fire to Adonai and from whatever else becomes his. They will have no inheritance with their brothers, because Adonai is your inheritance, as he has said to them. The Kohanim will have the right to receive from the people, from those offering a sacrifice, whether whether ox or sheep, the shoulder, the jowls, and the stomach. Oh, wow. shoulder and jowls and stomach. What a great meal. Yummy. Actually, I think it'd be great, but I can imagine some people would have some kind of, organ meat. You will give him the first fruits of your grain. Okay, grain. New wine. Ooh, wine. Ooh, boy. And olive oil. And the first of the fleece of your sheep. Yep, and you get a bunch of wool. If you hate, wool garments, that's a problem. I'm just kidding about that. Anyway, verse 5. For Adonai your God has chosen him from all your tribes to stand and serve in the name of Adonai, him and his sons forever. All right, Mom, would you please continue? We are, of course, in chapter 18, verse 6. Yes, Mom, 18:6. Still finding it, Mom?
What?
Yeah, you're still looking for chapter 18, verse 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
5. Here's 6. If a Levite moves from one of your towns anywhere in Israel where he is living and comes in all earnestness to the place the Lord will choose, he may minister in the name of the Lord his God, like all his fellow Israelites or Levites. Lost my place. Who served there in the presence of the Lord. He is to share equally in their benefits, even though he has received money. These pages are sticking together.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's a really difficult one, too. I hate that. That's one of the reasons I do it online, is because I hate with those sticking pages. That's really difficult. I don't understand why. It just makes absolutely no sense. Okay. Why they get. Go ahead.
Even though he has received money from the sale of family possessions. Detestable practices. When you enter the land the Lord your God is giving you, do not learn to imitate the detestable ways of the nations there. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices his son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or has a medium or spinfest of his who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord, and because of the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you. You must be blameless before the Lord your God.
All right, that's 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I keep a very short reading. All right, we're continuing in verse 14. For these nations which you are about to dispossess, listen to soothsayers and diviners, but you, Adonai, your God, does not allow you to do this. I think about that a lot. Every time I watch, I don't know if you notice this, especially if you have insomnia like I have frequently. You watch stuff in the middle of the night and you see these commercials for what? Mediums. We're talking about, that's what we're talking about. Soothsayers, diviners, witches. I mean, let's be honest. They're violating the commandments. Can we do about anything? Nope.
Yes,
that's right. We don't involve with it. Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry, but you can't do anything else beyond that. Thank you, Mom. That is absolutely true. You can just, yeah. That's a good point. All right. I hit something here. We're in verse 15. Yeah. Adonai will raise up for you a prophet like me from among yourselves, from your own kinsmen. If you have for years listened to music from the Liberated Wailing Wall, you may be listening to that in music going in your head. One of their great songs about Yeshua. A prophet of your Moses will say, hallelujah, look up to his eyes. Something, yeah, this look up. It was a wonderful song. I should have brought it. I should have put that as part of the music today. Love that song, Look Up. Anyway, you are to pay attention to him, just as when you were assembled at Horeb and requested Adonai your God. Don't let me hear the voice of Adonai my God anymore, or let me see this great fire ever again. If I do, I will die. You know what? I'm sorry. I know that's sarcastic. I don't know. For me, I would love for that. Just to be in the presence, I would deal with it. Now, honestly, we have no idea what that felt with. It could be the scariest thing ever to have God in the presence. And I think we understand, though, he is the God of gods. I mean, we're talking about the king. It's thing, and we do all of these, treat Jesus as a buddy. Yeah, I think that's a little more there's some point of familiarity, but I think we go a little far in some ways. Anyway, verse 17. On that occasion, Adonai said to you, they are right in what they are saying. I will raise up for them a prophet like him from among their kinsmen. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I order him. Whoever doesn't listen to my words, which he will speak in my name, will have to account for himself to me. Whew. That's, yeah. Hold on, let me get some water here. But if a prophet presumptuously speaks a name in my name, in God's name, which I didn't order him to say, or if he speaks in the name of other gods, then that prophet must die. And they're not going to pussyfoot on it. That's it. It's, we're going to hammer on these guys. You may be wondering, how are we to know if a word has not been spoken by Adonai? That's a very interesting question. Well, it says right there, when a prophet speaks in the name of Adonai and the prediction does not come true, that is, the word is not fulfilled, then Adonai did not speak that word. The prophet who spoke it presumptuously, you have nothing to fear from him. Notice, okay, that does not say about speaking the commandments wrong. This is one of the things I think about some in the Torah observant wing of Messianic Judaism, and I'm one of them. Some of them get real presumptuous about the salvation standing, shall we say, of people who claim to be believers. That makes me very upsetting. You can't assume that based on the fact because they ate pork. I hate to say it, that's the thing, and I hate to push it about that. We're supposed to love them, period. The question is not because someone claiming to be a believer, yet he, eats crabs and goes to a Sunday service, doesn't make them not a believer. It simply says they're not a prophet. God will deal with it. Continuing on, chapter 19, verse 1. When Adonai your God cuts off the nations whose land Adonai your God is giving you, and you take their place and settle in their cities and houses, you are to set aside 3 cities for yourselves in your land that Adonai your God is giving you to possess. Divide the territory of your land, which Adonai your God is having you inherit, unto 3 parts, and prepare the roads so that any killer can flee to these cities. Okay. They're talking about when they say killers. Now, they know they're not saying murderers. What they're talking about, and it says, we'll read here, verse 4, the killer who will live if he flees, there is someone who has killed his fellow member of the community by mistake, who did not hate him in the past. An example would be if a man goes into the forest with his neighbor to cut wood and takes a stroke with the axe to fell a tree, but the head of the axe flies off the handle. By the way, that's the term where flying off the handle comes from. That's where it comes from. It's literally talking about an axe hurting people. Don't fly off the handle. You're going to kill me. Otherwise, the next of kin avenger, in the heat of his anger, may pursue the killer, overtake him because the distance to the city of refuge is long, and strike him dead, even though he didn't deserve to die, inasmuch as he hadn't hated him in the past. This is why I'm ordering you to set aside for yourselves 3 cities. Okay, that's very specific about. It's not about murder. And it's not really about the what we would call is justifiable homicide. Well, that's not even that. That's like killing other people. This is an accident. What we're saying is that the reason of making the roads, to very easy to do it, because they have to run, because the next of kin avenger or avengers, there may even be more coming after him, might come after him. Okay? This is, see, that's a okay, I'm gonna get into my on my Apple box, talk about something. The roads in this state are horrible, and they do terrible things. They make the driving around difficult. It damage our the vehicles when it's being using them normally. It's not good. This is about a proper leader, and that's what these commandments are, is about, more than about criminal justice, or at least it's also about it. We have to understand, that's why things are created, so that when people have to, in lawful justice, lawful fleeing, whether it's because of killing or fire or floods or whatever reason, the roads better be functional. And this state is bad about it. And that's off the box. But I am moving on. Verse 8. If Adonai, your God, expands your territory as he swore to your ancestors that he would, and gives you all the land he promised to give to your ancestors, provided you keep and observe all these mitzvot I am giving you today, loving Adonai your God and always following his ways, then you are to add 3 more cities for yourselves besides these 3, so that innocent blood will not be shed in the land Adonai your God is giving you as an inheritance, and thus blood guilt be on you.
Isn't that what we're calling sanctuary cities now? And sometimes
yeah, that's a totally different issue. The sanctuary cities, it's that's based on the whole thing from the Bible, and it's not what it is. Well, and let's be honest. our refugee, and in some ways they are refugees, of the people who come to the United States illegally, the whole system is messed up. Honestly, there are a lot of people who should not be considered illegals. Let's be honest. They're working. They should have a lot of them. I mean, especially that we should have them cards, and they should be registered. We should know who they are. Okay. The whole system, it's really messed up. But it's a good point, and I think it's very good about it actually. Similar idea we're talking about in this way. It's more likely than I really thought it was. It's about law. It's about fleeing. There are a lot of similarities about it. It's very good, Mom. Continuing on,
the phrase here that is so direct and I really like is innocent blood. In other words,
bingo.
If you commit what is considered a crime, but really it isn't, it's something that just happened, as you pointed out, an accident, then that is innocent blood.
Exactly. Another good one for you. You're doing well today. All right. I'm ready for you to talk, for you to read together here shortly, Mom, so be ready. Continuing on, verse 11. However, if someone hates this fellow member of the community, lies in wait for him, attacks him, strikes him a death blow, and then flees into one of these cities, then the leaders of his own town are to send and bring him back from there and hand him over to the next of kin avenger to be put to death. In other words, this is part of the thing. That's one of the reasons about the sanctuary cities thing is that it's a fraudulent thing because it's a violation of the commandments. Violence of the laws here in the United States. Now, some of them need changing, but until that time, don't just do it because to do it, even though it's a violation. Anyway, rather you must put an end to the shedding of innocent blood in Israel. Then all things will go well with you. Mom, will you please continue in chapter 19, starting in verse 14, and you'll be going to 1913.
Wait a minute, you said start in 1914. You mean go to 2013?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong reading. Sorry. 1914 to 29.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do not move your neighbor's boundary stone set up by your predecessors in the inheritance you received in the land the Lord your God is giving you to possess. Hold
on. Let's talk about the boundary markers. That's a big deal. That's a huge deal, especially when you wouldn't necessarily have the round of sentencing you might have. Let's talk about those boundaries. Probably 40 years ago, maybe longer ago. I was young. And we were looking at, we were at the next to the garage, I think it was. And there was a patch of ground. And what do we see? What definitely looked like marijuana. And it was on our side of the fence. And it was a serious problem. And so we had to call police. Told them, of course, I'm telling this mom, you're
not
more.
only did we call police, we called feds in because the reason we were so terribly concerned was that my husband worked for the IRS at the time, and he could have lost his job for it.
Yeah. Boundary markers, the boundary laws, huge deal. In fact, it's not something that I don't pay attention to it on a lot of things, many people, because they think, oh, there's a fence, who cares? These are serious issues.
Now, you talked about when you were young. When I was young, and this goes back like 70 years and more, and I lived on the East Coast, and we had property in upstate New York, and there were stone walls built to mark the boundaries. Surveyors marked this, and stone walls were put up. They were cemented, or they were made in such a way that the weather would not bring them down.
Yeah.
And they were on everybody's property. Nobody thought anything of it, except that you knew that this was a definite legal marking. It wasn't just somebody who thought, oh, this would be an interesting fence made out of rocks that we find by the river that are beautiful. This was a definite thing done by law.
Huh. Wow. Okay. All right. So, Mom, continue on verse 15. Yeah, we're in. We're 19.
One witness is not enough to convict a man accused of any crime or offense he may have committed. A matter must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses.
We just said that. I know, it just happened early in the same parasha. Keep going.
If a malicious witness takes the stand to accuse a man of a crime, the 2 men involved in the dispute must stand in the presence of the Lord before the priests and the judges who are in office at the time. The judges must make a thorough investigation, and if the witness proves to be a liar, giving false testimony against his brother, then do to him as he intended to do to his brother. You must purge the evil from among you. The rest of the people will hear of this and be afraid and never again do such an evil thing as has been done among you. Show no pity, for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot.
All right, here's a question. You just said we just heard this. We read this as part of the same parasha. Why is it? Why do you think that they re-say it, Mom? What do you think?
Why it's the part that we just read now is a little more distinct. It doesn't give any wiggle room.
Okay, but why is it here instead of the previous reading? It's the same parasha. So why isn't it back there a couple of chapters ago? We were just reading it today, but it was like a chapter or 2 ago. Instead of now, why do you think it is? Why do you think it's there? I know what the answer is, at least what I think, but I just want to hear from you say.
We need to be reminded.
Okay, that's certainly true.
And the fact that it was said a chapter or two ago doesn't mean that those who read it a chapter or two ago will not be aware of what's going on.
Maybe. But let me be more specific about this. Because there are other things that talk about that in the Torah. However, I think, and we get a little feeling, they do things like paragraph breaks in our modern Bibles that shouldn't be there. They're confusing. They are done properly. Here's my suggestion to you. And the reason this telling us no, this is a Parasha reading. That's the way the break works. This is not about a general discussion about witnesses and things like this. This is about the boundary marker issue. These are connected. This is about a boundary dispute. The whole thing. In general, sure, it means the same thing. But it's being very specifically talked about in that point because there are people who are reading about this and they're thinking about, well, that guy who's getting in there and I think it should be my land. They're doing, it's a connection. It connects.
Pardon the pun, but sometimes we simply have to put on the brakes.
Oy. All right, Mom, will you please continue to chapter 20, verse 9.
But starting
you're in 20, what?
Starting at 16.
Huh? You should be beginning a new chapter 20, aren't you?
No.
What do you think it is?
We just finished 15.
Try again, Mom.
A matter must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses.
Mom, it said twice. We just read 19 and we're going into 20.
Okay. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
No problem. And it's those pages we've talked about, those very thin pages. It's very easy to miss where you're going. Don't worry about it.
When you go to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, do not be afraid of them, because the Lord your God, who brought you up out of Egypt, will be with you. When you are about to go into battle, the priest shall come forward and address the army. He shall say, "Hear, O Israel, today you are going into battle against your enemies. Do not be faint-hearted or afraid. Do not be terrified or give way to panic before them. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to give you victory."
Amen.
The officer shall say to the army, "Has anyone built a new house and not dedicated it? Let him go home, or he may die in battle, and someone else may dedicate it. Has anyone planted a vineyard and not begun to enjoy it? Let him go home, or he may die in battle, and someone else enjoy it. Has anyone become pledged to a woman and not married her? Let him go home, or he may die in battle, and someone else marry her." Then the officers shall add, "Is any man afraid or faint-hearted? Let him go home, so that his brothers will not become disheartened too." When the officers have finished speaking to the army, they shall appoint commanders over it.
All right. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound real familiar to you? Gideon. Remember? They kept saying, yeah, we've got 100,000 forces. Oh, no. Send, 20,000 for this reason and 20,000, remember when they started it comes direct to that. It's really interesting. Remember, these connect. Everything of the Bible connects, and one part connects to another. And they knew about this. It should not have been a surprise to Gideon that they would be told that, because he was told to do it. It was going to happen. They knew their Bible. All right. I also think it's very interesting. They talk about that. You notice it says first they're getting them in, decide people who are going to be soldiers, and then give them appoint the commanders to lead the army. Very similar situation in the United States when they worked as militia. Those and even when they did this, they commanded they voted their officers for a long time, or for various reasons. One reason, sometimes they in different. That's not just the United States I'm talking about, but different people about this. You could buy your officers. In fact, I think they did that at one point during the Civil War. Some of them Revolutionary War. The idea of a standing army, it's not really God's plan to have one. I mean, that's the way it is. And now, that's not. Is it okay to? How do you deal with that when you live in a country that does not? And I've never heard of any country that doesn't. What that, at least not yet. It's about how you be considerate with it. How do you deal with it? I think, unfortunately, in our country, kind of gives a lot of special honor to military people. There's nothing wrong. I mean, there is and there isn't. There's a problem at this where it becoming worship, demi worship. It's very careful. And that's one of the reasons why of electing officers is because it's one of us. It's not just thing. And in fact, our greatest military situations in this United States, things like the Civil War, the World Wars, that's where a lot of them were. So think about it. Anyway, we're moving on. I'm moving on. I'm continuing in. We are in chapter 20 and verse 8 and verse 10.
When you march.
No, I'm reading about this. Sorry, it's mine.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get some water here and I'll do. When you advance on a town to attack it, offer it terms for peace. If it accepts the terms for peace and opens its gates to you, then all the people there are to be put to forced labor and work for you. However, if they refuse to make peace with you, but prefer to make war against you, you are to put it under siege. When Adonai hands it over to you, you are to put every male to the sword. However, you are to take as booty for yourself the women, the little ones, the livestock, and everything all in the city, all its spoil. Yes, you will feed on your enemy's spoil. In other words, not like spoiled food. They're talking about, what you get from war, what you give it, which Adonai your God has given you. Okay, that's a very difficult thing people will deal with. Again, it's one of those things that's a totally different society we have today. There's a reason for that, and let's be honest. You remember we talk about the Pincus, the reason Pincus started, attacking these Israelites because they were fraternizing with bad people, other cultures, the cultures that does things like, sacrificing your children toward Molech. When you bring those people to be part of the people of Israel, and you're trying to make them part of that, you're doing it's very difficult to bring a male adult into it in the way thing, and that was the idea. It's women are generally civilized already, as a general rule. More women are generally more civilized. Women, children, men and women, as children, you can teach them, and they could be part of the people of Israel and learn how to do it. It's a very uncomfortable thing to discuss with, but it makes sense in that society. It is not something that would be done in Western culture 2020 era. So we'll continue. This is what you are to do to all the nations which are at a great distance from you, which are not the towns of these nations. As for the towns of these peoples, which Adonai your God is giving you as your inheritance, you are not to allow anything that breathes to live. Rather, you may destroy them completely. Again, oh my God, we're talking about, who are we talking about? The Hittite, the Amori, the Canaanite, the Perizi, the Hivi, and the Yevusi. Those are the people that we're talking about that sacrifice babies. And the similar kinds of things. You can't sacrifice, you cannot civilize that far. Unless Yeshua actually does it, and if they wanted to do it that way, they're going to do it. Let's be honest. Of course, today we can't do it. Totally different system, completely. Is there what do you think we do with this? How do we deal with that today? Is that something we can apply somehow? Is it at all?
we can or should.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole abortion issue is what this is all about.
Well, let's continue real quick because I think I got it. We're in verse 18. So that they won't teach you to follow their abominable practices, which they do for their gods, thus causing you to sin against Adonai, your God. And that's the reason. That's it is. Let's just take the blood, blood spoil and all that stuff going on. What do we need to do today? We need to pay attention and be very careful of the bad stuff around us. And because we can't take a sword and take out of it that way, take the sword of your mind and your heart and say, those things we will not do. I had a terrible decision to make about recently. I made terrible, but anyway, recently, the United States, not United States, the United States Supreme Court just made an order because they did about Roe versus Wade, and they got rid of that. That caused many companies to say, well, we're going to do something for our employees so that they can be to do abortions, get them to areas of the country that do it. In this case, that's important for me is Starbucks. Let's be honest, I love Starbucks. They make wonderful things. Tasty, incredible, even I can get the sugar-free type things that get good, And for a long time, I knew that they had that they were, pro-abortion, but it's an opinion at that point. I thought, well, it's whatever it is. It's not like we're really pushing it, Then they decided that they were going to pay money to give special money to their employees to go. Not only, this is incredible, not only were they going to get them to pay for the abortions and to go to money to get there, but pay for members of their families to go. So you get a little a family vacation in order to get an abortion out of it. No way. At that point, I made a choice. I felt like I was ready. I would love to get a sword going, only doing it, but I can't. Not the situation we're in, that we live in. So how did I do it? No more Starbucks. I said, no more. I'm not going to do it unless I change it. So I chose, found a local. It's very good. Some good thing about it. It's also localism. I found a local company with a great name. It's Cup of Joy, which I think is wonderful. And I'm going to let's say it. I'm going to fight with my dollars. Every time I put money in their till, it's a blow through the whole idea of Starbucks doing those things. Your segment?
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Not only that, but another adjunct to that. You're saying it here publicly.
I get to say it.
Is making other people who might not have been aware of Starbucks stands on these things before, and now will say, I don't want my money going to that either.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move. When in making, we're in verse 19. We are in 20, verse 19. When in making war against a town in order to capture it, you lay siege to it for a long time, you are not to destroy its trees, cutting them down with an axe. You can eat their fruit, so don't cut them down. How, after all, are the trees in the field human beings, so that you have to besiege them too? However, if you know that certain trees provide no fruit, you may destroy them and cut them down in order to build siege works against the town, making war with it until it falls. And that makes good sense. And people think, oh, trees is wonderful. Trees. No, you shouldn't cut those trees because it's share, whatever. You can't do them. Any of them. Never. No. You need to be wise as for what trees have value and which are just nice. But not to say all of them do it all. Trees are important. They are valuable. And people love trees in their cities. We also need things that are made from. So be wise. That's the difference between environmentalism and conservatism. Being a conservativeship of the environment, we still control the environment, not following Gaia. Moving on. We're getting close. All right, let's go. We're at chapter 21, starting at I think I may still. All right. Mom, will you continue in? I'm not sure where it's supposed to be, but I think I might have gone over that thing anyway. But so go ahead, 21, 1 through 9. Go ahead.
If a man is found slain, lying in a field in the land the Lord your God is giving you to possess, and it is not known who killed him, your elders and judges shall go out and measure the distance from the body to the neighboring towns. Then the elders of the town nearest the body shall take a heifer that has never been worked and has never borne a yoke, and lead her down to a valley that has not been plowed or planted, and where there is a flowing stream. There in the valley they are to break the heifer's neck. The priests, the sons of Levi, shall step forward, for the Lord your God has chosen them to minister and to pronounce blessings in the name of the Lord, and to decide all cases of dispute and assault. Then all the elders of the town nearest the body shall wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken in the valley, and they shall declare, our hands did not shed this blood, nor did our eyes see it done, except this atonement for your people Israel, whom you have redeemed, O Lord, and do not hold your people guilty of the blood of an innocent man. And the bloodshed will be atoned for. So you will purge from yourselves the guilt of shedding innocent blood, since you have done what is right in the eyes of the Lord. The poor animal.
It's how do I put this? There are reasons. I'm not sure I 100% know all the reasons why. I know they are.
You haven't done anything wrong.
It's not the animal that is.
But he's suffering. He's being killed.
Well, you are inputting of human life type similar ideas. They're not. I'm sorry. This is one of the problem with some of the pro animal, that's not even the term right thing, but the humane society things that go too far about these things. The only point, not the only, how do I put this? The point of animals out there, yeah, it's good to have. They're important things. They give us value for what we need to do things. And yes, it's going to do some things that for us in our modern society, it's, oh, how difficult, how terrible. And I understand that feeling. I agree with you. It seems terrible. But at the same time, you start saying about, well, every animal, in fact, tomorrow we're celebrating Meat Day, as we call it. It's, yes, the point is we don't kill for no reason.
That's what this sounds like.
I understand what they're saying. And I understand about that. But do I understand it? No. I understand it is. I don't understand why it is.
Well, it doesn't say so here. Maybe it says it later. But
and not exactly.
They use the meat
maybe
from
other
the heifer for food.
Yeah, they're talking about the red heifer, I think.
Yes.
Well, no, it's it's for the ashes of the red heifer is used for as the cleansing to the. It's part of the ritual for people who have no, it's the term. It's ritual cleanse. It's ritual cleansing. Do I understand why it works? All things, no. But it's a total different site. But it's part of done with that. I know, difficult one ending. we're also running real late because we started late. And so I want to talk about, I'm not going to do, let me do the blessing after the Torah study, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Apostolic Ari. I mean, the Haftarah, I'm sorry. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, Yeshua Meshikeinu v'chayolam nota b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who gave us the Torah of truth, Jesus our Messiah, and planted everlasting life in our midst. Blessed art thou, O Lord, giver of the Torah. So we'll talk briefly about the Haftarah writing. Traditional Jews read, this week, they read Isaiah 51:12 to 52:12. And then the next week, they read, hold on, let me get there and I can tell you it specifically. It's really odd. It seems like it's directly the same thing, but what happens is they move to Isaiah 54 and pay no attention to Isaiah 50. Because they are specific. This is what some of the rabbis who have done things that are not good. They don't want people to even think about reading 1953. So I want to ask you, to people who are reading this, read Isaiah 53 specifically in context. Specifically in context. So instead of, it's not just and it's very short actually. Start reading Isaiah 51:12. Okay, and go read through 54:11, I think it is, or 12, whatever, somewhere around there. Read those four passages. Not passages. Chapters as a block. It's very powerful. I wish we had time to do it. We're both exhausted. It's late for the day. Yeah, we're gonna end at this time because it's too much at this point, and we don't have extra help. We don't have other people as part of the congregation. We're here. It's just two of us, so it's a lot of reading, as you would imagine. For that thing, I'm going to give you the Aaronic benediction in English only. And why? It's because it's very special, and to do it as a corporately, you doing the Hebrews. Let me just give you the blessing in English. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face to shine upon you and show you his favor. May Adonai lift up his face toward you and give you his perfect peace. In the name of Yeshua Meshikeinu, Jesus, our Messiah. Amen. Amen. Thank you for being part of this time with us. And it's been a wonderful time. And I can't wait to see y'all next week. Shabbat Shalom. And as soon as the sun, and then at the sundown, Shavuot Tov. Have a wonderful week. Tov, Shavuot 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 Tov. We are